Thomas Alva Edison was born on February 11, 1847, in Milan, Ohio, United States. He was the seventh son of Samuel Ogden Edison, Jr. and Nancy Matthews Elliott. The family moved to Ohio in 1839 and then to Port Huron, Michigan in 1854. Thomas Edison was not able to attend school on time due to his poor health like other children. When he did go to school, his teachers made fun of him because he was always in a daze. Despite his poor health, Edison was a boy who was always curious about everything around him and wanted to find the root of the problem.
Unfortunately, after only 3 months of school, Edison was expelled from school for being naughty, so his mother took on this task. She was also the one who led him on the path to becoming an inventor with thousands of inventions.
Thomas Edison had many different jobs in his life. While in Port Huron, he worked as a newspaper boy and candy seller on the trains from Port Huron to Detroit. He later became a telegraph operator. While working as a telegraph operator, Edison met his co-worker Franklin Leonard Pope, an inventor who agreed to let Edison live and work in his basement. It was here that Edison created his first invention related to telegraphy, the vote-counting machine. By 1871, Edison established a factory and became the boss, and from then on, his life turned a new page.
Before becoming one of the 12 greatest men in America, Thomas Edison had experienced many days of mixed joy and sadness. These things accidentally became very interesting pieces of Thomas Edison's life, so that now when posterity discovers them, they admire his efforts and hard work even more.
Edison was 7 years old at the time and had just been in school for 3 months. He returned home from school and gave his mother a note from his teacher.
Nancy Elliott, Edison's mother, read the letter with tears in her eyes. On it, his teacher said that he was a mentally deranged child and they would not let him go to school anymore. However, when Edison excitedly asked his mother what the teacher wrote, she said that they praised him for being such a good student. The school was not capable of teaching him, so they wanted to suggest that the parents would guide their son themselves.
It was not until later, when his mother passed away, that the genius Thomas Edison discovered this truth. He was very heartbroken, but thanks to that, he respected his mother even more. Thanks to her belief and constant efforts, Edison's potential was fully discovered and developed. When he was 12 years old, Edison asked his parents for permission to become independent by finding a job. Although his parents did not agree, Edison's parents agreed because of his determination.
From then on, Edison went to the train station in Port Huron to sell newspapers, candy, fruit, and magazines on trains from Port Huron to Detroit and vice versa.
In addition to selling goods on the train, Edison also went to Detroit with the purpose of visiting the library there and studying books that were not available where he lived. He read many books, then took the train home at 6 p.m. and when he returned home he continued to do experiments until late at night.
Edison always wanted to make a lot of money to support his experiments. Therefore, he decided to start his own newspaper.
Later, Edison bought a hand-printing press and set up an area called a press facility to sell a newspaper called the Weekly Herald. Edison only collected news related to the area along the two sides of the railway. He took on every role from editor, reporter, printer, newspaper seller, and manager of the newspaper. Edison's newspaper sold very well. In the first issue, he sold 400 copies in a month. However, by chance, Edison saved the son of a station employee, Mr. Mackenzie, from the jaws of death and was rewarded by the man who saved his life by teaching Edison the art of telegraphy.
From that time on, Edison devoted himself to learning telegraphy and Morse code up to 18 hours a day.
In just a few weeks, Edison learned the signals that Mackenzie telegraphed.
After 3 months, he became a first-class telegraph expert and even built an electric telegraph machine that allowed people to send telegrams faster.
By May 1865, Edison officially became a telegrapher at Stratford Station with a salary of $25 per month. At the same time, Edison created a vote counting machine, which was also his first invention. Although this initiative did not receive support from congressmen, Edison was not discouraged. He continued his work and created a telegraph that could send two telegrams at the same time on the same line. By the time Edison was 24, he had become a factory owner and had his first successes. Life had begun to stabilize. Edison began to think about starting a family. Finally, his secretary Mary Stilwell caught his eye.
Thinking is doing. One day, Edison went to see Mary and told her that he did not want to waste time talking useless things, but wanted to ask her if she would agree to be his wife. Unexpectedly, in response to this sudden confession, Mary immediately agreed, and they became husband and wife. After Mary died, Edison remarried a girl named Mina Miller, and they had 3 children together. Among these children was a son named Charles Edison, who later became the U.S. Secretary of the Navy and the Governor of New Jersey. On October 18, 1931, when Edison was dying, his close friend Henry Ford, owner of Ford Motor Company, asked his son Charles Edison to take a test tube and hold his last breath in the hope of reviving this great inventor. The test tubes containing Edison's last breath were sealed with paraffin. Charles later sent 1 tube to Henry Ford. The remaining test tubes are currently kept at the Henry Ford Museum in the U.S. as souvenirs left by the scientist Thomas Edison. This invention is considered one of Thomas Edison's greatest inventions for mankind. To use it, we just need to speak into the receiver. Then the sound vibrations from the voice will create indentations of different depths, engraved on a cylinder covered with tin foil to be recorded. From this invention, mankind has created many other recording products. In 1878, the only known type of arc lamp was the one that used a charcoal stick to burn, which was often annoying because of the heat and unpleasant smell. After many years of research, Thomas Edison experimented with a lamp that used electricity to produce light. To complete this historical research, scientist Thomas Edison read all the documents related to electricity. He and 50 people worked tirelessly to pursue this project. During the time of completion, Edison invented many other things to serve human life, such as dynamos, fuses, wiring, circuit breakers, etc. From the arc lamp, Edison developed many different versions of the electric light bulb. After many experiments with the material used to make the filament in the bulb, he finally created the first electric light bulb with a filament made of thin carbon fibers. This electric light bulb burned continuously for more than 40 hours. However, his invention was only doubted by the public due to the Herald newspaper's one-sided reports. Thomas Edison came up with a way to install a series of electric light bulbs in the laboratory, around his house and on the streets of Menlo Park to dispel all doubts of the people. On December 31, 1879, scientists, professors and many people came to observe and officially recognized Edison's invention. Thomas Edison once surprised the public with his invention of the movie projector in 1894. It all started when Thomas Armat came to see Edison and showed him a movie projector. Edison knew right away that it was a good thing. When he saw the machine, he spent 4 years researching and improving this machine into a movie projector. This invention also helped the world develop a new profession, filmmaking. Edison then patented his film projector. At that time, the kinetoscope, the name of the film projector he invented, was highly appreciated by everyone. Thanks to this machine, all subsequent film projection devices were built based on its operating principle. Few people know that the electric meter that our family uses every day is an invention of scientist Thomas Edison. This invention was created by him with the purpose of measuring the amount of electricity that each family has consumed. Edison's device uses the electrolytic effect of electric current to measure the amount of electricity not using the method of measuring the time of electricity supply as before. Inside the meters, there was a pin placed in an electrolytic chemical, and used zinc plates to measure electricity. One plate was used to measure data, and the other was used to verify against the original. Later, Edison added a mechanical counter to make reading the index more convenient. From this type of electric meter, scientists improved it into the modern meters of today. In 1899, Thomas Edison turned his attention to the development of storage batteries with the aim of making electric cars. By 1900, Edison had succeeded with more than 4,000 electric cars produced in the United States. He then continued to experiment, to invent a battery that could help cars run more than 100 miles without needing to be recharged. However, 10 years later, when gasoline was introduced, Edison stopped this project, but the rechargeable battery he invented was used in buoys, miners' headlights and railway lights. Later, his close friend Henry Ford used this rechargeable battery to power his own car model. During his lifetime, genius Thomas Edison invented and created more than 1,500 products. That means every 12 days, he had a new invention. Just like his enthusiasm and invention, Thomas Edison also has many good quotes with deep meanings that help motivate us in life. Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. I don't want to invent anything that doesn't sell. Sales are proof of utility, and utility is success. I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. There is always a better way for everything. Find it. Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The surest way to succeed is always to try just one more time. Who you are will show in what you do. When you have exhausted all possibilities, remember this: it is not yet. Being busy does not always mean real work. The object of all work is production, or achievement, and for these two things there must be forethought, system, plan, intelligence, and a right purpose, as well as perspiration. To seem to be working is not to be working. I never view mistakes as failures. They are just opportunities to learn what doesn't work. Just because something doesn't work the way you plan doesn't mean it's useless. I have never completed an invention without thinking about how it might be useful to others. I find out what the world needs, then I invent. Having a vision of what you want is not enough. Vision without execution is just an illusion.